All right, motherfucker, why don't you have a six-pack? Why are you not rich? Why are you not dating hot babes? Why are you not crushing all your goals in life like an incest baby between Elon Musk, Richard Branson, and Frodo from Lord of the Rings? He's short, but he's got fucking heart, just like you. I'll tell you why. It's because you fucking suck. Just kidding. You're fine. Probably, maybe. Knowing the average person who views this channel, probably not. But fuck it, we're gonna go anyways. Because lucky for you, I have all those things. And I found a system for my life that makes achieving them easy. Look, jokes aside, I think I've insulted you and lowered your morale enough. This video is gonna show you how to basically get anything you want in life, because getting everything you want in life is as simple as playing The Sims. You have the same amount of hours every single day as the greatest men on earth. There is nothing stopping you from putting in the work hours and effort of Mr. Beast, Jeff Bezos, and Kamala Harris. And look, if that retard can go and run for president, you can basically do anything at this point. Why can't you? It's because you don't understand how your brain works. And if you understand how your brain works and how to structure it in these three ways I'm going to show you in this video, they're going to align like the Castilian crystals on the Death Star and give you unlimited power. And even if you're a fucking retard, you too will be touring the nation, doing book tours, giving speeches, and half the country will be wanting to vote for you, despite your deep incest retardation. Long story short, if you're kind of a fuck up, this is still going to work for you, because I am actually a retarded fuck up as well. I barely passed high school, was broke out of the military, and my favorite hobby, my only hobby actually, just was drinking. And I still managed to use this to convert myself into a person that not only has a crispy six-pack, but also a net worth passing multiple 9 figures. And I also am married to a pretty lady who's nice to me. So all around, this is going pretty well. And what I'm going to show you in this video allowed me to basically get whatever the fuck I want out of life without any restrictions. And I guarantee if you just do this, it's going to take all the responsibility that you're trying to force out of your hands and just make all of this easy and streamlined. So let's begin. So let's all bring it down to one key point that we're going to fix in this video. Why haven't you gotten the things that you want to get out of your life? Here's the number one reason. You haven't been able to force yourself to fucking do it. You haven't had the willpower. You haven't been able to make yourself do it. Look, if you woke up every single day and busted out 12 hours of extremely focused work, you didn't do anything, you weren't distracted, you just sat down, worked on whatever you were pursuing in life, you'd get pretty good results in it. Maybe you wouldn't be the Tom Brady of whatever you're doing, but you definitely make the NFL. You wouldn't fucking suck. Whether it's making money, getting a great physique, whatever your goal is that you're trying to achieve are, being the best at something, you'd be able to do it if you were able to just sit down and make yourself fucking focus on it like you're playing The Sims. If you ever played The Sims, you ever remember making The Sims go and read books for 12 hours straight, just pounding espressos, sleeping like a machine, going to work in a perfect mode, repeat. They have no friends, no family, except when you need to score friend points in the game. If you ran your life like that motherfucker, like you tell that motherfucker to, you'd be doing great, but you're not. So the secret we really have to realize is, how do we get ourselves to perform like a sim? AKA where we just do all the things we need to do constantly like a machine. And more so, how do we make it easy? How do we make it so we don't want to kill ourselves while we're doing this? This is how you do it. So what I'm about to show you actually just has 3 steps. And if you optimize these 3 things, again, you will line up like the Death Star laser and unlock unlimited power in yourself, or at least enough power to not be a fuck up anymore. And I'm going to give these 3 things to you here in a second, and they will just plain work. It makes everything very streamlined. But you have to understand the crux of your problem right now, which is that thing, that blob of mass in your head, your brain. And your problem right now is not be able to get this motherfucker to do what you want. You want to do a lot of things. Like, I'm sure you want to work out 5 times a day, make tons of money, to read 50 books a year, and go and learn, I don't know, the Kama Sutra of, what the fuck am I saying? Anyways, you can't get this motherfucker to do what you want consistently. And even if you try and do it, the spurts of doing it are so hard that you eventually run out of willpower and then you just stop. And so you can't run your life like a sim at this point. So you have to understand how to trick this little fucker in doing what you want and actually make it enjoy it. Because you are 2 different things. There's your brain, which is this organ that thinks and does things. It really isn't you. Have you ever listened to the thoughts that go on in your head and the things you think about? They just pop out of nowhere. That's your brain. It's just doing stuff all the time. And it's always making you do stuff you don't want to do and pushing you to do stuff you don't want to do, because it's not you. It has nothing to do with you. It's an organ that influences and releases chemicals that then make you want to do certain things. But really, you have this separate willpower, this consciousness in your head that clearly doesn't always want to do these things. You don't want to eat cake. You don't want to drink alcohol. You don't want to play video games 24 hours a day. You'd love if you were motivated to do great things and read and have all these great personality traits, but you just fucking don't, because this thing keeps pressing you and it makes it very hard to have those things regardless. So the great question is, why don't you have and do all these things you don't want to do? Here's exactly why. So your brain is like this creature that needs to get something. All right. So for example, if you go in The Sims and you tell it to go entertain itself, let's say this is the entertainment button right here in The Sims, what the Sim is going to do, and let's refer to the Sim as your brain going forward, it's going to find the most straightforward way to get here. So let's break this down. So let's imagine your brain is essentially the Sim in the video game. It has needs. Okay. So you are the Sim and you have needs, and you have to understand that your brain doesn't live in the future. It also doesn't live in terms of fulfillment. It doesn't equate itself to making lots of money and being happy. It doesn't equate itself to working towards a long-term goal and being happy. It simply lives right now in this moment. It's a dumb lizard brain, and it has needs it's going to need to fulfill right now. And what you have to understand about the brain is it's an optimization machine. Its goal is to get from point A to point B with as least energy and effort as possible. So just like a Sim in a video game, if you tell it to entertain itself, what it's going to do, it's going to do a quick scan of the area and what's available, and it's going to find the shortest way to fulfill this need. And once the need is fulfilled, the motivation and everything to do anything else is pretty much gone. The motivation is not there anymore because the need has been fulfilled. And it doesn't care if the way it gets this need is unhealthy or something that doesn't work in your favor. It doesn't even care if the need itself damages you in the long run, because it doesn't live in tomorrow. It doesn't live in next week. It doesn't live in next year. And it doesn't even satisfy its current needs by you going and achieving your life goals. If you go make a lot of money, if you become very successful, your brain is still going to be like, hey man, maybe you want to go like watch some porn or something. That sounds great. Or like, hey, dude, that World of Warcraft account, that sounds really satisfying. It's still going to get really high from doing heroin. And it's going to be like, maybe we should just like fuck all this work stuff and go do heroin. That's how your brain works, because it thinks how to fulfill its need as fast as possible. It doesn't care about what actually makes your life better or worse. It doesn't care if the needs that you're fulfilling put you in debt and ruin your life. That's why people go and start gambling and whatever, lose all their money. And they're like, why the fuck did I do this? Because your brain was like, hey, the fastest way to get dopamine, the fastest way I can get this hit is just to go fucking to the casino and lose my fucking money, because it doesn't think in terms of results. It just thinks in terms of getting this chemical release. And once it does, it stops wanting to do it. And then you're just going to mope around. So you have this situation right here that becomes very toxic if you do not control your brain in today's world. So what you need to understand is that in the past caveman times, there was basically only like 3 ways to get dopamine. You had to like eat, you had to fuck, or you had to like hang out with friends or something. I don't know. And you had to be valuable to the tribe. That was like it. You didn't have a phone. You didn't have a TV. That was it. So really, the only way a caveman had to reach any level of fulfillment or scratch the itch on the chemicals the brain needs to have be released was to hunt, fuck, or go hang out with friends and be valuable to the community. That was it. So I would be willing to bet that cavemen were pretty productive motherfuckers. And if you look at people from the 50s, 20s, and before we had a lot of technology, they got a lot of stuff done. They were really active. There weren't a lot of people just sitting around watching TV and like doing nothing and just drained all the time. Why was that? Because the brain had no way to get access to dopamine. It had no way to actually get any of the things it wanted because there was no shortcuts to it. Now, when you are working with your brain in general, what you need to understand about this, and this ties in, we're going to lay it all here in a second. I know I've talked about this before, but there's other stuff they're going to tie in this to make this very fast and easy, is the brain is going to find the fastest way to get there. It doesn't care if it's negative or has a con on your life. For example, if you're looking at going and talking to women, you're not going to be motivated to talk to women if you're watching pornography, because why the fuck would you leave the house and go put yourself in some put yourself at risk of chance of being denied by a lady in public when you could just load up Pornhub? Why would you go do that? You wouldn't. This is why a lot of guys don't date anymore, because they can just do that. Why would you go and build a business and get this fulfillment and take on challenges when you can just boot up a video game? And so your brain is going to go and say, okay, look, I don't care about the business you want to build being successful. I don't care about you being physically fit. I care about getting this need fulfilled in the shortest way possible and spending as little energy as possible getting there. And so it's going to reroute and optimize around these things. And you're not going to want to do anything challenging. So now that you understand that, you also have to understand a few other things about your brain. One, your brain is limited. There's only so many things it can focus on at once. So If you put 100% of your focus into, say, building a business, you're going to get really huge returns from that focus because you're going to see all the edge cases and all the focus that goes into it is going to go into something that makes your life go up. But the more your focus gets split, the less impact it's going to have because you're putting less focus into things. The next thing you understand is that your brain can function better or worse. So, for example, if you're drinking all the time, if you're completely frying your dopamine and like to the point where your brain's exhausted and mentally overwhelmed, I'm sure if you've ever played a 12-hour video game binge, you see how your brain feels after you can't focus or look at anything. If you're not sleeping well, if you're not eating well, if you are not dealing with inflammation in your body and how your body resets every single day, you're also going to be slow. So what am I trying to point out here? If we take all the three things I just talked about right here and we lay it in a train track of success, okay, we have our energy, basically how well our brain works, we have our focus, and then we have our motivation, which is basically our dopamine, which is really the hardest one to control out of all of them. If we can optimize all three of these things in order, we're going to get really fucking good at things really fast. So for example, let's imagine that this is again like The Sims and we need to fill up all these bars. If you max out your energy bar, you max out your focus bar, and you put all of your motivation and points into whatever job career you're getting into, you max out all of these right here, your life output is going to be outrageous. Let me make sure I got that fully in view. It's going to be outrageous. Because let's imagine this. Let's look at a bad scenario. This is most people. Let's say you're putting shit in your body, you're not sleeping well, and you're doing all sorts of things that are frying your brain. So your energy is at 20%. Now let's look at most people's lives. Their focus is fractured in a zillion different ways. They have bills and life responsibility that's driving them nuts. They have family, they have friends, they have 15 different hobbies that they're looking at and they're not good at. They are looking at politics and on Twitter all the time. They're on, their life is just so much. There's so many things going on in their life. They have all their chores, daily, everything that's going on in life. Just think of anything that you focus on that isn't based around success in your daily time. Go and document the next hour after this video. Sit down and think about how much you focus on things that have nothing to do with the growth or success of your life. Do it. You'll be like, what the fuck is going on in this monster thing that I call my brain? I am fucking retarded. You really have to really think about it and document this. And then finally, imagine most people's motivation is completely wonked out because they're looking at porn, they're watching TV all the time, they're playing video games, and they have 15 other different hobbies, whether it's their phone or some form of technology that's giving them all the rewards, all the incentives immediately without any effort. So what is the normal person doing right here? You have this slow person that is only putting like 5% of their focus into life growth, that has zero motivation to do so. Like they have no interest in it either. Like if they go read a book on self-help or they go and go to the gym for 30 minutes, they're in mass amounts of pain. Why? Because their brain's like, what are you doing, dude? We filled the motivation quota an hour. Why are you at the fucking gym? We just ran a really sweet dungeon and world. You don't need to do this. What do you do? Go home and take a shit and sleep. Just stop it, motherfucker. We can deal with this tomorrow. And then they repeat the same exact process. How are you supposed to be successful when you are operating like this? You can't. It's like driving a car that has half of an engine and you've crammed your own feces into the gas tank and you've completely painted the windshield with hentai waifu pictures. You can't see where you're going and everything smells like ass and it's not working very well. You can't do this. This is dumb. So how do we go and fix this? Well, we sit down and we make a concerted effort to document our lives and fix all these things. So the first place you need to start at is going to be your energy, because you can't deal with these things if you don't have no energy. So here's the most basic shit you can do right here. Now, there's a ton of things you can do to improve your energy and biohack and all that stuff. That's not going to get you the results. Here's what's going to get you the results when it comes to energy, okay? I'm not going to go into all my biohacking. I could talk about hyperbaric chambers and red light therapy and injecting yourself with peptides. We're not doing that yet. Just chill out. Remove sugar and inflammatory foods from your diet. This is where almost all the brain fog is coming from. Just eat plants, meat, and simple carbs like sweet potatoes. Just go to the fucking store, get yourself some chicken breast, some sweet potatoes, some berries, and some nuts, and just eat that shit. Your brain fog and everything will go away. Or jump on the carnivore diet. Just take whatever you're doing and focus on lowering the inflammation in your body as much as you possibly can. Research that. If you do that, you're going to have clear thoughts. Then go to bed on time. Just go to bed and try to get 6 to 8 hours of sleep. Then stop poisoning yourself. All right? Stop smoking pot. Stop drinking consistently. You're not rich yet. You don't get to get fucked up on the weekends. All right. No. When you have millions of dollars, you can go and enjoy your Irish car bombs and butt plug your marijuana candies you need to take to go to bed every single night. Not yet. All right. If you stop doing all these things right here, your energy is going to get up to 80%, which is good enough. All right. That's good enough. You don't need to be at 100%. We don't need to be in hyperbaric chambers, Brian Johnson and this shit yet. Now, your focus. This is so important if you want to be successful in anything, particularly in business, because business takes a really long time and it's hard. Get rid of anything in your life distracting you. Just that's it. Until you've achieved your goals in life, but until you've set yourself up money-wise, no, you don't need friends. You don't need hobbies. You don't need to be involved in politics. If you know what's going on in fucking politics, and I know on Twitter I've said some pretty spicy political takes, don't follow what I do. I'm retarded. You need to be better than me. You need to have all this stuff out of your head. If you're walking around, document in your head the next hour. What are you thinking about? If it's in your life and it's not making your life actively better, get rid of it. This means lowering your life cost in terms of how you live in your lifestyle down to zero. Most people's biggest stress is money. Like 50% of their time is focused on making money. Now, I don't mean making money for the sake of growth. So when I wake up to make money, I want to grow my net worth from 100 million to 500 million. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to grow. Most people are making money like they're worried about paying a bill on time, how they're going to make rent, how they're going to get something useless object or something. I'm doing this to rack up a high score. A lot of people are focused on it to survive. So what you do is you lower your threshold of survival down to zero. That means getting a studio apartment in Wyoming next to a grocery store where you don't need a car and you can get some weights and you can just sit in your room and lift weights and work until you're fucking rich. When you're rich, then go do stuff. All right. It doesn't take that long if you just focus like that, because all of your focus points are going into getting rich, which is what most of you guys are here to do. This same thing I'm talking about right here applies to anything else you're doing. You want to be good at a sport. You want to get jacked. You want to get better with women. You want to do any of the things that males want to do, but don't do. It's right there. All right. So this is what you need to do. Reduce your life down to zero. Get rid of anything that you focus on in the next couple hours that doesn't add to your life, that isn't absolutely mandatory. You don't need friends. You don't need to be hanging out with your family. If you have kids and you're young, congrats, you kind of fucked up a little bit, but you don't need to also be spending 15 hours a day with your fucking kids. Like, find ways to reduce and get lots of focus time in your day and then remove all the complexities from your life. Become a simple little caveman. Okay, you can have all these interests and stuff when you're rich and you've solved all of your problems and you're lording over everybody else. Now, finally, motivation. You have to get that your brain is not going to be unhappy from boredom. The reason why you become unhappy when you remove video games, TV, and all these little addictive habits you have in your life, the reason why you're unhappy is because your brain is like, hey, we had this really quick route to get dopamine and pleasure, and now you're like making us not do that. And now we can't get this chemical. It's kind of fucked up, bro. So I'm just going to twist this knife in you for a few days. But what happens is your base happiness level, for example, if you look at people that end up paraplegic. Now, don't ever run this test. I'm not going to test this theory out. But what I've heard through the podcast where people talk a lot about complex things is that when people end up paralyzed, their life happiness after the first year ends up balanced out and they're just as happy as before they were paralyzed. What I'm trying to explain to you right now is that your base happiness is just going to phase out to wherever you are. Like, it doesn't actually matter what you're doing in life. There's people in jail that are just as happy as billionaires because your body kind of equates to where you're going to be. So you're much better off just learning how to be happy where you are first off. That's a different video. What I'm telling you right now is that you need to push yourself to be extremely bored, and it's going to kind of suck at first, but then you're just going to balance out. And then the things you used to find that were really painful to do, like going to the gym or working, become the most exciting thing you have. So I'm going to give you one other example. When you were a kid, probably growing up, and maybe actually I might have been the last kid that had this experience growing up. I could usually sit down and read a book or hang out and talk with people without drinking. And I could just go in the backyard and like fight bugs with sticks. And it was really exciting. Like, if you look at a lot of kids when they were growing up in the 50s or whatever, when they didn't have TV or a lot of things, they were a lot more active and they were doing a lot more productive things in their life. People didn't just sit around and do nothing the entire time. They're really productive members of society. And why was this? It's because doing all these productive things wasn't painful for them. They found it really engaging and fun. And so these people honestly were happier than we are now. So there's no secret to happiness in what you're currently doing. It's all nonsense. Then this amount of overload you're giving yourself is actually making you much unhappier in the long run. So the thing I'm going to tell you right now is that, again, seek the boredom, because eventually the boredom will be happiness. And then you're going to wake up. So for example, today it's 3 a.m. right now. I'm pumped to make this video. You can tell I'm actually having a pretty good time making this. I'm putting a lot of effort into work right now, making this content for you. And I'm happy and I'm thrilled. Why? It's because last week I had a very big temptation to play Borderlands 4. I wanted to go play this video game, load it up. It looked really cool. I don't fucking do that. Why? Because if I had done that, I would not be enjoying making this video right now. I'd be itching to play Borderlands 4. If I load up World of Warcraft and start playing that motherfucker again, I start going and partying too much. I start going and have my phone and I have access to Twitter. I don't carry a phone on myself, literally for this reason. I'm going to start wanting to do those things, and I'm going to find making content for you very boring and painful. I don't want that, because making content for you and doing this stuff in the morning and being excited about doing it makes me really fucking rich. And I like being rich. And I like looking back on a week or my life and be like, wow, that was cool. I like hit my goals and I fulfilled the things I want to do, instead of reaching level 99 in World of Warcraft, instead of having another useless gaming experience, instead of having another mediocre drinking experience, instead of watching a TV show and having the same experience I've had a billion times. I want to keep growing up in life, and I want it to be fun, not painful. So to wrap this all up right here, if we align our energy, we're going to have energy to deal with all this shit. If your energy's out of whack, you're just not going to get that. If we isolate our focus to only the things that are going to make our lives better, only those things are going to improve, and they're going to improve at maximum rate. And then if we make sure to keep ourselves bored enough, and by bored, I don't mean you're going to be sitting around in pain. I mean lowering your threshold for entertainment to where reading a book is entertaining again. You can get there. I don't know if you guys remember reading Harry Potter growing up, and it was fucking fantastic. Now you have to be watching a movie with 6 pairs of boobs in your face at all times, a soundtrack from Kesha, while you're on your phone and not even watching at the same time, thinking about how you're going to play that next World of Warcraft bout. You need to get back to the baseline, buddy. Okay, you're living a little bit too wild. And if you do these 3 things right here, inevitably, you're going to be super motivated to put all your energy into that thing that makes your life better. And you're going to be super highly effective at it, because all your focus is there. And then you're going to get really fucking good at it. I don't care if it's getting rich. I don't care if it's getting 6-pack. I don't care if it's crushing cans with your butt cheeks. You're going to become excellent at it very fast. And this is how you own ass in life. So do it. Now, if you want actual tactics to make a lot of money, you should subscribe to this channel again, because I release all my old courses, which used to be like 20,000 bucks worth of business building courses. They're fucking good. I give them all to my subscribers on here for free in the community tab once a month, but you have to be subscribed or you won't see it. So you should subscribe, because they fucking rock. On top of that, because I'm a really great guy, I've also linked full guides on how to make your first 0 to 100K a year below, then 100K to $1 million, and then $1 million to $10 million a year, all below. So whatever level of entrepreneurship you're at, you can continue to hang out with me, and I'll teach you how to do it, because I'm trying to build an attention hub right here and make myself famous on the internet. So I'm just going to tell you all sorts of cool secrets. So that's it. I'll see you next video.